All right, today I'm going to be answering the question, what is a chicken tractor? I'm going to be showing you my chicken tractor. I'm going to be making some repairs to it because it took a beating over the last growing season, so it needs to be put back together and patched back up. I'm also going to show you some of the modifications that I would make or I'm going to make. I'm going to show you what I would have done differently about mine, and I'm going to give you all some advice from not an expert, but somebody that's built their own without any plans or going by what other people have done, and regretted it a little bit, other than I got the materials for free. So y'all stick around and check that out. So a question I get all the time when I'm talking about raising these chickens is, what is a chicken tractor? And that's this thing sitting behind me here. And really all it is a chicken enclosure, a pen that you can roll around. And mine, I just pick up the back end and I put these little wheels on it, and I have a rope tied to the front. Well, actually I don't right now. That's one of the repairs I need to make. But I have a rope tied to the front of it, and I roll it around like that. Some people use a dolly instead if they have a bunch of chicken tractors, because it makes a little bit more sense rather than having to put wheels on and off. But this is a kind of a take on a Joel Salatin style chicken tractor. There's also like the John Siskovich style, and you can look all those up. And I would highly recommend that if you're doing this, that you look up their plans and do it, because I kind of built mine just out of whatever I had laying around. And there's some changes that I would make, that I would do differently, that were probably already solved in the original plans. And so, like, for instance, if you want to get the plans for the Joel Salatin style tractor, he has a book called Polyface Designs, and that's going to be full. I don't own it, but that book is full of all sorts of designs for pens and coops and things that he uses around his farm, that he's got tons of experience, years and years of experience designing this stuff and understanding its practical use, and so the best way to make these things. Then the John Siskovich style, if you look up that guy, I think he's got a book that you can buy. But I just kind of winged it, and I did run into some problems, but it worked. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly to spec what these guys did. If you only have certain materials, work with what materials you have. One big thing I will recommend, though, and I've recommended this in a different video, is the hardware cloth instead of chicken wire, because I have had a predator reach through chicken wire and pop the head off a chick. So the hardware cloth makes that significantly more difficult for them. So I'm going to show you all my chicken tractor, and then I'm going to do some repairs, and then I'm going to talk about what I think I did wrong with my original design, even though I really didn't have a choice, because I'm itching because I just got a bale of hay for the goats, and it kind of makes me itch after I pick it up. But what I did wrong, and what I would suggest you do different if you were to build one yourself. Okay, so this is my chicken tractor. It is not very pretty, but it works, and right now it's in a bit of disrepair. When we were doing our last batch, the lid slammed shut and knocked some boards loose. Also, it's mostly pretty much all my fault because of the way I put it together. This is completely built out of found scrap wood and pallets, because that's all I had. And also, I didn't even have screws at the time, so I put it together with some little like galvanized nails that weren't very good. And so the lid came apart in some places. So I'm going to today repair this chicken tractor, because the chicks in the brooder, real estate is getting at a real premium in there. And see, also it's holding water on top because this plastic kind of melted in the sun and swayed in. So I need to get that water out and just dress it up a little bit. right, we got the lid fixed, we got the water off the back. Now all I gotta do, I'm gonna put a handle in the front so that I can pick it up and roll it around. And you got a little taste of the excellent help my friend Keith offers me. And we're gonna get this ready to go because the chicks need to be put in here pretty dang soon. Okay, so I just built mine out of literally whatever I could find. This hardware cloth came off of a garden, garden panels. It was, the guy built an enclosure to keep critters from eating his tomatoes and stuff around his garden beds, and that he did that when I was like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9, and I'm in my 30s now, so that's how old those panels were. And then some of the wood is even off of that because that's all I could get my hands on. And then the other wood that filled in, I'll spin this camera around to show you. When I didn't have wood from those panels, that's pallet wood everywhere. I had to make joints because I didn't have lumber long enough, and then that also made, I had to make it really thick in some places to make the joints strong enough. So that ended up making this thing super heavy. I have this enclosure in the back, and I was going to put like some soffit vents right here, but instead we just have some holes drilled to kind of let the heat out, because I mean it gets pretty hot under there. And I was going to go ahead and cut a hole and put these soffits in, but then I wasn't sure about how I was going to seal them and then what I would attach them to, and so I'm just going to leave those holes for now. And I put a fan on the chickens if it gets too hot. So I would do that differently. Also, I think I have this wheel set up here where that wheel slides on that pipe, and that's how it rolls. I think what I would do differently next time is probably I'd do some kind of dolly system instead of the wheels. I keep the bricks with it because the chickens will start digging along the edge, and I brick off around the edge to keep them from escaping and also keep predators from getting in. So big things that I would change is I would put some kind of ventilation in it because I live here in Texas and it gets really hot. That's not as big of a deal in cooler climates. I would make it lighter, and the movement part, I would either do it out of PVC to where it could slide along the grass, or maybe use a dolly system. But those are the main things. This will work, and it's going to continue to work, and I'm proud of it, even though it's kind of junky, but it does its job, and it will continue to do its jobs. Yeah, what I was talking about earlier is that if you can afford the new materials and you're not doing this as a reclaimed, whatever you can get your hands on type project, I would suggest building it by somebody's design that really knows what they're doing, like Joel Salatin, Polyface, or John Soskovich, because my main complaint is this thing is kind of rickety and it's super duper heavy. And so moving it every day, it kind of gets old, and especially if you have to move it a long distance. And I was constantly throughout the whole time I was using it making repairs and just patching it together to get through, in which I'm prepared that I'm gonna have to do that again for this growing season. But I mean, this is just all I have. So if you can, I would suggest building it out of new materials, lighter, and designed by somebody that's really got a lot of experience going into it, rather than kind of figuring it out. Or I mean, if you have a good design, I've seen some people make them out of PVC, like 4-inch PVC, that makes them lighter and easier to move. They can just slide along the grass, and that's a cool idea. But yeah, this is what I had, and it worked. I mean, I only lost a couple chickens my last run, but that was due to the heat, and I didn't have any predator issues, and this got me through the whole thing. So now, one last thing I'm going to talk about. Why is it called a chicken tractor? I have no idea. I guess because you pull it along the grass, it moves along the grass with the chickens in it. I don't know. That's the name. I think it's a cool name. But I don't know why they call it a chicken tractor, but this is what it is. And that's the big question, is what is a chicken tractor? It's just, again, going to reiterate, just a mobile coop chicken enclosure so that you can move them on grass, pasture, fresh grass every day. And so those are also the main functions of a chicken tractor, is so that you can give your chicken fresh grass every day so that they're not living on their own feces. And that's one of the big deals about this whole grass-raised, pasture-raised poultry, is that if they're going to be healthier if you can move them to fresh grass and they're not living near their own feces, because that's what causes coccidiosis and I'm sure a number of other issues. And then another cool thing about the chicken tractor is that if you're raising something like Cornish cross, like I am, they're lazy. They won't move, and they won't go find new grass, and they won't go find new bugs unless they're forced to. And so this tractor forces them to get up and walk to the new fresh spot. And then there's new bugs and eat bugs for a chicken is just that's their, like us eating fruits and veggies, it's going to boost their immune system. It's going to make them healthier. And so it's really good for them to consume that. And so if you're not doing antibiotics or vaccines or anything like that in your chicken, like I'm not doing, then it really helps to keep your chickens healthy while they're alive and keep them alive longer if they're exposed to all of that. So that's a chicken tractor. Those are its functions. I will point out that I think the FDA regulations for raising a chicken, I think, requires something like 3 square feet. Don't quote me on this, I'm no expert, but I think that's 3 square feet in an enclosure. And if you think about that, that chicken's only going to spend their entire life in that same 3 square feet. But with a chicken tractor, they probably got, I think the way I built mine, the dimensions gives them about 2 square foot per chicken, but that square footage is moved every day. So if they're in the tractor for 4 weeks, say, that's 28 days. That's going to be, I can't do math on this, but 56 square feet over their lifespan of fresh grass. And so, yeah, that's why we use chicken tractors and what makes a chicken tractor cool. This is mine, built out of, the only thing that it cost me was screws and time and sweat. All of it was reclaimed wood and reclaimed wire mesh and plastic, and even some of the screws I got for free. Because they were the screws in this paneling was what was right there. I don't know if I got my finger in there. These screws in this paneling was what was holding it up on to the barn at my dad's place when he got it. But yeah, that's it for the chicken tractor.